Welcome to Season 4 of She Lancer, Mom Entrepreneur with voiceover Angela. I'm your host, Angela. I'm a full-time voiceover artist and audiobook narrator, and this podcast are the audio versions of my live Q&A chats on YouTube. If you'd like to be part of the live Q&A chats, come on over to my YouTube channel, Voiceover Angela. I'm live every Tuesday at 12 p.m. EST. We talk about voiceover, the business of voiceover, audiobooks, and so much more. Find more information on my website, voiceoverangela.com. Enjoy today's episode. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Thank you for joining me again and everyone else here for this live community chat that we do every week. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Angela. I'm a full-time voiceover artist and audiobook narrator, and my channel is dedicated to those of you just getting started out in this wonderful world of voiceover and audiobook narration. And through my channel, I share with you tips and tricks and techniques and stuff that I do every day in my own voiceover business. And then we also get together in these weekly community chats to discuss a topic or two or five. We'll see how it goes. But if you're not new here, then you know that every week we have a new poll, which is sort of the topic for today. And today's poll is, if I can find it, here it is. In your opinion, and the poll is completely anonymous, so feel free to tell me what you think. In your opinion, what is the most important thing to do first when getting started in voiceover? What's the most important thing to focus on when you're first getting started in voiceover? And I have to admit that the poll is sort of, there's a couple of options in there that are kind of like chicken, egg, which ones do you start with first? And there's 34 votes so far. It looks like 9% of you said microphone, which is exactly what I thought. 49% of you said treating your room or space, and 37% of you said training. Again, something you would normally think, right? And then demos, for 3% of you said demos. So again, it's kind of like, you can't really do one without the other, but what do you focus on first? And after all my years of doing this and working with, at this point, hundreds of other people, excuse me, it comes down to treating your room. That's really the most important thing. I think we get caught up in, training's not bad. Demos aren't bad. The microphone choice isn't bad. But really, treating your space is going to be the best use of your time in the beginning, even before you get a microphone, right? Because you can't do demos without maybe at least a microphone and maybe a little bit of training. And can you really do training? Like real training without a microphone and a space but really, if you spend more time in the beginning choosing a dedicated space, and I say dedicated because once you have everything set up, you don't want to touch it, right? And I know some people don't have the space or availability for someone or for somewhere in their house or wherever to have a dedicated space. And I know that's difficult. I know some people that had Anthony Pica, actually, namely, had to build and take down his space every night. But it's better, of course, if you have some place that you can dedicate to doing this. That way, again, once you have everything set up, you don't want to touch it. Because small little variations in the space can change your sound. It might not be noticeable to a lot of people, but audio engineers and other people who have developed the ear for hearing these things will definitely notice. But treating your space is going to also take care of the sound in your room. It's going to help you to reduce the sound of reverb or echo, right? It's probably one of the most important things you can do. And then I would say shortly after that would be the microphone, because the microphone you choose is also going to be dependent upon how your room is going to reflect it, right? And you can't really do the microphone. Well, I should say, if you choose the microphone first, and then you're wondering, okay, well, what's my best bet there? There's a $50 microphone, there's a $100 microphone, there's a $5,000 microphone. Which one do I start with first? And if you don't treat your space, that $50 microphone and that $5,000 microphone are going to sound just as poopy, right? The $5,000 microphone is probably going to sound or enhance the poopiness of your sound of your room even better than the $50 microphone, right? So treating your space is probably one of the most important things that you can do when you're just getting started out. And then the microphone, and then the training, and then the demos. And then just quick note on the demos. I've worked with a handful of people that went the route of they saw somebody online that said, for $3,000 or $5,000, I'll train you, we'll make a demo, and then you'll be good to go. You know me, if you guys have seen me for any length of time, you know that I'm never going to fault someone for their own business model, for the way that they do things. But I have to say that's probably not the best way to go. You can DIY your own demos in the beginning. And I don't think having a professional demo made before you're practiced and trained and your skills are honed and all of those things is a great way to go, because again, and I've said this a million times, I feel like I say this every day, but that professional demo that someone had coached you through, and then they took your raw audio and enhanced the sound and made it sound fabulous and then added sound effects and music and all of this stuff to it. If you yourself can't replicate the quality and the sound of that demo, and that's what you're sending to clients and that's what they're expecting from you, and you can't do that on your own, that's going to be a problem, right? So save yourself that money in the beginning and spend your time and maybe that money focusing on your space, getting your space dialed in, covering up all of those hard shiny surfaces with soft materials, or acoustic foam, or acoustic panels, any which way you need to do it. And then learn, right? Train, practice, join community groups to bounce things off of, to learn more from. And then once you're ready, your sound quality, all by yourself, you can do it. Your sound quality is up to snuff. Your performance, you're feeling better about your performance and your sound quality. Then start to make your own DIY demos. And then when you get to the point where you're ready to jump into the professional demo and you can do it yourself, then, do it yourself, or hire an audio engineer or a demo producer to help you make a professional demo. I feel like that was tangent number 1. But I think that was a good tangent to be to be endured. But yeah, so treating your space, I think, is probably one of the most important, for sure. Yeah, spend your time and money doing that. You'll be better off in the long run. All right, let's hop over to the comments and see everybody here. Looks like we got a lot of people in already. Thank you for spending some time with me and everyone here in the chat. Okay, first in is Christina. How you doing, Chris? Good morning. I don't know if you're still here. I saw that you had to, duck out early. Good morning, all. We'll be ducking out early for another class on sync. And she's learning like soundscape and all this cool stuff. Good luck to you. Have fun in class. And then Chris said, I voted room treatment because without knowing your room's treatment and noise pollution, you can't determine the correct mic that you will need. Without a mic, well, no recordings. The old catch-22. Yeah, it's a catch-22, double-edged sword, chicken before the egg kind of a thing. But she's right. There are microphones that will, some microphones have lower self noise than others. Some will have like a high pass filter or a like a pad or like a cut on it that will help reduce additional noise in your room, right? You obviously don't need it or don't want it if you don't need it. So, you know, that might help in your microphone choosing. But I mean, besides that, I think we only stick with our first mic for a couple of months maybe, and then we get the itch to upgrade it or we discover something new, you know. I don't know anybody that stuck with their first mic for very long cuz you just learn more as you go. Then we have Caesar. Hey Caesar, I'm so glad that you're back in our circles. We've missed you. Caesar says one option that's missing in the poll, find a community. Yeah, I think I was thinking to lump that in with training, but you're right. I think after you have focused on treating your room, find a community because a community can help you further dial in sound treatment and which microphone to pick and all of that stuff. So I think community is also very important for sure. There's nothing better to filter out some of the misinformation or conflicting knowledge learned during the training research stage. Perfectly stated. Caesar is always eloquent. A lot of the overwhelm can be mitigated by being able to communicate with people who are relatively successful in the field and can influence certain decisions and prevent you from making potentially expensive mistakes down the line. And if anything, a community, a good one at least, like your platinum, shameless plug, can keep your sanity in check as you struggle through things like room treatment, gear selection, and ultimately the ability to perform. It's easy to feel like giving up without a community to have your back. VO isn't easy. It can burn you out. There's, to Caesar's point, there's a lot to juggle in the beginning. There's a lot of unknowns. There's a lot of, what works well together, in harmony. I mean, just reflecting back on my own journey, roughly 6 years ago when, everything is so foreign and new and you don't know the lingo, you don't know, what everything is or what it does or how, if it works with something else, there's a lot. And not only that, but then there's the business side of it, right? How do I get paid? Where do I find clientele? Do I need a website? I mean, there's so many things to consider, and it's very overwhelming. It can quickly get overwhelming. And I think, again, to Caesar's point, having a community to bounce things off of, to ask the dumb question. I hear that a lot. I'm going to ask you a dumb question. It's not a dumb question. It's an earnest question. It's a question that you have, so ask it. That goes for anybody watching. If you have a question, but you feel like it's too dumb to ask, don't feel that way. We've all been there. We can help you answer that question and get you out of that, like whatever stage that you're stuck in. So community is important for that. And not only that, but lifting you up when you feel down, right? Because it's not always going to be unicorns and rainbows in any business that you're starting. But if you have a community of people that you can rely on that understand what you're going through and can help you to get out of that rut or to get out of that ditch, right? The imposter monster starts knocking on the door. A community will help you through that as well and lift you up and make you feel better and keep you moving forward. And community is very important. It is. Caesar says, hello, Angela. Hello, Caesar. Hello, Chris. Hello, everyone. It's 105 degrees today in the Philippine Islands. Holy Moses. I think it's going to get up to, I'm not far behind you. I think it's going to get up to like 95, 97 today here in the desert. And I've decided that pants are optional until the weather improves. Tim says, Caesar, gotta agree that a community is quite important. Seems there are a lot of interdependent moving parts that have to sync up to make it happen. Hard to put one as the most important. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of that chicken or egg stuff. Caesar says to Tim, absolutely. And at any stage, it is very easy to give up, even as early as during research. Sure, you can train with the pros, but even that can become an expensive rabbit hole. So a lot of people try and supplement the missing parts with independent research, and the sheer chaos of it can have you pulling hair. Communities like Platinum keep you on track and mostly sane. Mostly sane, right? That's also very like relative statement. Dwight says, "Good morning, Angela, my fellow mentees and YouTube lurkers. YouTube lurkers. It is a great day to go to your Alexa and ask it who's the leader of the band that made for you and me. Leader that's made for you and me. If it doesn't answer Angela, then throw it out the window. You know, I turned all those devices off long ago just for other reasons. So I don't know. I'm one of those anti-device people. I don't even want to say the name because it's always listening. Creepy. Oh, I went back to Caesar's comment. Glad you're here. Dwight TT Farmer is here. Good afternoon, all. Good afternoon to you. Dwight says, don't forget to SLS, subscribe, like, and share. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sharing would be good too. I never ask anybody to share it. Maybe because I'm just like, I don't want more people to see my face. But I think, again, it's important that we get together in these community chats to talk about not only the topic at hand, but anything else that comes up that could be useful, like support and all of the other things that go along with it. But yes, please, if you're Team Replay, please consider subscribing and liking. I appreciate that. Oh, we have a super chat. Hold on. I'm scrolling. Wow, there's so many comments. Thanks, guys. Gregory, I'm back. I'm glad that you're back. I'm glad that you and Caesar both are back at it and returned to us mostly whole. I think both of you are still maybe in the recovery stage, but I'm glad that you guys are feeling better. Thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate that. Very sweet, very kind. Good to see you back, Gregory. I'm trying to find where I left off. Oh, here we go. Chris says to Dwight, check Discord. And for those of you watching our Platinum Discord, voiceover Angela, the YouTube channel, doesn't have a Discord. It's for our Platinum group, has a private Discord. Dylan says, I said room treatment, but honestly, it's a combination of everything. It is. It really, truly is. But if you had to choose one, I would say focus on your space. Focus on your room. I think that's the most important. That's the best way to spend your time and money in the very beginning, for sure. Bears. Hello. Good morning. Hello, Angela and Angelinans. Happy Tuesday. Absolutely. Laura, how you doing? I don't know how I would treat a space before having a mic and knowing what output results needed fixing, but I'm a total noob. I mean, you're right, because it is sort of like what if you got the microphone and you started treating your space all at the same time? That way you can spot check, because that's pretty close to what I did. But instead of treating my room in its like totality all at one time, I was sort of treating in spots. Like I would start to hear a little bit of reverb or something, and then I would put a Band-Aid on something, right? I would stick something up in a corner and then the reverb would be gone. And then the more my ear to hear these things developed, and the more I continued on, I would start to hear something else. There's still a faint reverb coming from somewhere, right? And then I would go, okay, it's probably that corner over there, Band-Aid, right? So you're right. I mean, without a microphone, you can't really hear the result. I mean, you can stand in the room and speak and see what it sounds like, but you don't really know what it's going to sound like in a recording until you have your DAW to record on and a microphone to record with. So if you had your microphone and treating your space, that way you can spot check. I think that would probably be the best way to go. And then from there, start on the training, research, join a community, and then focus on your demos. But you're right. You brought up a good point, Laura. My Cup of Tea 101 says, Buenos dias all. Good morning to you. Brian is here. Good morning. How you doing, buddy? You focusing on the room is huge, but you would never know to treat your space without training and research. Same. Because even if you are spot checking, like I just mentioned with the microphone and treating your space, What do you know? How do you know what to look for, what to hear? What is considered to be bad? And in the very beginning, you don't really know or recognize that reverb is there and that that should be removed until somebody tells you, or, heaven forbid, a client tells you, right? So a lot of those things are going to kind of mesh together. I think the microphone, the training and or community, and treating your space, I think all of those three in conjunction would probably be the best bet. Very good point, Brian. Rustic Hillbilly is here. Good morning. Good morning to you. What's it like in Oregon today? Gary Micheloni is here. I'm assuming that someone already has an interest in VO or storytelling before desiring a career in VO. Get a decent USB mic for under $100 so you have a reasonable audio. Begin there. Yes, and I've said this a few times. I don't know why I keep apologizing. Because I know I have like 31,000 subscribers or something. So I know that a lot of people watching have probably seen me say this stuff, over and over and over. But for those of you that are brand new and have never, I don't know why I apologize. I'm going down another tangent. Please stop me from the rabbit hole. But in order to make it in this industry, you do need to have a natural love for storytelling and speaking. Right. Although I'm an introvert and I don't it makes me feel really oogie to speak and to have the spotlight on me, to have a bunch of people look at me. But to offset that, I'm in a room by myself. The only time that I have people looking at me is if I'm in a live directed session, I'm in a group meeting, or I'm on a live. So it's, most of the time I'm by myself speaking to myself. But having a love for storytelling is definitely, especially in audiobooks or any kind of long form where you're, having to inflect and, show emotion. If you have this natural love of storytelling, it would definitely help you. I'm going to pump the brakes on that tangent before it starts. Pamela's here. Good morning, Pamela. Glad to see you. Eric is here. Hey, Eric. Good morning, all. Ditto on once you get it dialed in, you don't want to touch it. Yes. My studio is pretty much off limits to everyone and everything. Because all the knobs are where they're supposed to be. All the settings are where they're supposed to be. The mic is positioned in just the right spot. My chair doesn't move. It swivels, right? But that's about it. It does not move from this location. Everything is where it needs to be and does not get moved at all. I also recommend, if you have anything in your space that has knobs or dials, to take a little marker or a pen and just put a little mark on, where that is pointing, where the knob is, just in case it does get bumped or moved, or the kids come in here and start playing with things. You can turn it back to where you had set it. You can easily find where it's supposed to be. Tim Gleason says, I initially voted for room treatment. Got to say that the first thing is making sure you have the temperament. Very true. Yep. It does. Takes a lot of patience. A lot of patience. Gary Kelly says, I'm new to you and this profession. Welcome to the family. I'm a lifetime learner, and at 68, I'm here to learn. Welcome, welcome. We all offer you a warm embrace. Gary, glad to see you. Bears says, an untreated space will make your microphone will be your worst enemy. Yeah, no matter which microphone it is. Yeah. TT Farmer says, yes, dedicated space. My closet is great. I can fall down and bump my head and be just fine. But seriously, yes, I touch nothing when I squeeze it. When you squeeze in it. Yes, don't touch it. Dylan says, I just got the lumber for my permanent studio. That is so exciting. Would love to build a studio. I just don't have the room in my tiny little hobbit hole. Goodbye, Hobo Fort. I'll be posting pictures on the Facebook page and Discord. I'll put videos on my TikTok. That is so cool. I'm so happy for you. That's so exciting. build your own little studio nook. Bear says, sorry for the crappy typing. No worries, my friend. No worries. Kenny says, I've never had any official training. Is that bad? I've had jobs and I've improved my work in some ways. And we just naturally get better as we go, practice, practice, practice. And then the more you're exposed to other people and what's right, what's wrong, so on and so forth, you're going to retain some of that, hopefully some of the information that you hear, and then apply it to make yourself better and improve that way. I myself didn't seek out training till a good year and a half in, but that is because I'm a little bit stubborn and hard-headed, and I want to be self-sufficient. I want to do everything on my own. I'm one of those. I'm an Aries. I can't help it. But I can definitely tell you with absolute certainty that after I started training, I had kicked myself for not starting sooner. Because there's a lot you don't know until you have to know it. And when you have to know it, you don't know what it is. You've never heard of it. You don't know how to do it, right? There's a lot that you don't know. There's a lot of problems you can prevent by getting training sooner, right? And training is an investment. Yeah, some trainings can be super expensive, but you know what? It's an investment in you and your desire, your dream to do this. You have to have a strong why to do this, right? Not just making money. If your why for doing this is just to make a couple bucks, you're probably not going to last very long. You have to have a strong desire to do this because there will be a lot of obstacles that you're going to come across, and your why is going to help you through them. But training is important. I'm pumping the brakes on that tangent too. But definitely training. Get the training. It's worth it. Tess Stalker is here. Hey, wow, I actually made it this week. Glad to be with y'all from Dracula. That is so awesome. I know it's Dracula, right? I know I said Dracula once because I thought it was funny, and then now she's just from Dracula. Glad to see you here. Steve Voiceover says, hello, Angela. Have a great day, everyone. About the topic, always space treatment, then the other things. Agreed. Yes, sir. Caesar says, most of us buy the mic first, which I did. I'm not going to lie, which led us to realize that we need room treatment. Same. Our ears aren't wired to recognize certain sounds yet. Didn't realize my old demos had echo until later. Same. So for those of you that are considering getting into this profession or just starting out in this profession, take it from us. Treat your room. Don't do what we did and just sort of feel your way through and then discover issues or problems along the way. Save yourself all of that frustration and treat your room first. Dwight says, I said training because I feel it's important to understand what you were getting into to treat the space, and then 3, Mike. I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, training is important, but you can't get, in my head, you can't get feedback on your training because if you're working with someone to improve your performance, to perform your reads, to improve your reads, to improve your audio quality, you're going to need your space, your mic, your DAW. You're going to need all of that stuff. So that way, whoever you're working with can help you to, audit your booth or, help you with mic placement, all of those things. So training is probably a close third for me. I would say probably your microphone and your space at the same time, and then training, and then demos at the end. TT Farmer says, maybe I need a better mic. Have to save up, maybe good gift to self later. And you don't have to buy a brand new one. There's, and I always forget the name of it, but there is a Facebook marketplace that is, motorcycle guy, you hear it? There's a Facebook marketplace that is dedicated to used voiceover gear. And I can never remember the name of it, But I'm sure if you just did a little searching in there, you could probably find it. But you could get your microphone, you could get your equipment secondhand. You don't have to buy everything brand new. But definitely a good reward, like a goal reward, right, is to get yourself a new mic. Stephen Byrne says, I was wondering, Angela, if you might consider using Zoom to host one of your broadcasts. That would give us the opportunity to interact. Might be an interesting exercise. Just thinking out loud. I have been thinking of other ways to interact with you guys, apart from like webinars and things. But there is a way to interact with everybody with cameras and things through StreamYard as well. Of course, I think it requires, a membership fee or something. But I have been thinking about doing that so that way you guys are able to interact more than just, chatting. But I have been thinking about them. Bear says tangents are awesome. Don't encourage the tangents. Robert says, yes, that is why I am here listening to you and not putting out a lot of money. TT Farmer says Thursday nights are Zoom calls. Yes, they are. Our Platinum group, we have group meetings every Thursday night. So if you want to interact with me and a lot of the chat live on Zoom, you can join my Platinum group. And we work through we gamify a lot of practice, and a lot of it's fun. We all have a good time, I think. I'm not sure what that is, Mary, but hello, Mary. Caesar says to TT Farmer, what sort have you got? I know plenty of folks who are getting by with a Blue Yeti or an AT2020. You can correct a few things using EQ for now. Focus on making some money first, then reinvest. Bear says, I have been fighting the new gear just to get new gear itch. It's an itch that's hard to scratch, that new gear itch. Steven says, room treatment is so important. I have a big foam block on the wall adjacent to my mic, blankets, and recording booth acoustic foams on the surrounding walls. I also have a mirror, helps a lot. And a mirror is for fixing your face, right? As we say in my group, fixing your face before you start recording. Which helps with character development for finding a right emotion. If you're smiling, you can hear that coming through as opposed to, I'm smiling. You can hear the difference. So having a mirror so you can see what you're doing with your face will definitely help to get that emotion across, or that feeling, or whatever you're trying to do across, for sure. Or for helping with, looking someone else in the eye. If you're meant to be sounding like you're talking to a group of people, I use pictures of my family. I have pictures of my family in here. I have a picture of my son, and then my fiance, and, a few different people. So I can target to that person. So if I'm wanting to sound like a warm, nurturing mother, I'll talk to my son. And if I need to talk to a group of people, I'll look to a different picture where it's a group of people. So it sort of helps the read sound a little bit more natural. But a mirror is another great thing to use. Mary, I don't know what you're trying to do, darling. Are you trying to put in a link? YouTube won't allow links. It'll filter them out. Mufasser says, is the Shure MV7, lots of podcasters' faves, okay for voiceover? I'm sure Caesar has probably answered that question somewhere down in the comments. Caesar's our resident gear guru. But I know a few people that use that mic for voiceovers. Is it the MVB? I know there's a B in there somewhere. I'm not super versed on microphones, but I have heard of a handful of people using that particular mic for voiceover. I don't think it's a bad one. I think if you want great information on microphones and how they sound and what to buy, what not to buy, you're looking for feedback on gear, check out Booth Junkie on YouTube. Mike Delgadio's got a great channel where he goes over mostly just gear on different kinds of interfaces, microphones, gadgets and gizmos galore. So definitely go check out Booth Junkie here on YouTube. Lulu Martin says, I have an expensive Shure mic, but yesterday I started playing with a Blue Yeti. It's sounding good. I started with a Blue Yeti. Was my very first microphone. Tycon Delar says, I got a Rode NT1 signature series to get started. I can't afford coaching yet, so I'm reading as many books on VO performance as I can. I will work on performance first and go from there. I also had an NT1A, I believe. I still have it somewhere. So I also have had that mic. But that's pretty much the same route that I went. I just practice, research. Just be careful not to get stuck in the research phase. We call that procrastinating. So don't get stuck there. Just make sure that you're moving forward, that you're doing what you're reading about, right? Because you learn so much by just doing as well. TT Farmer says, I have the SM7B. That's the one I was thinking of. It's about 2 months old, LOL. I just know my noise helps with this, I think, since I move so much. Yes, that is something I didn't consider either about voiceover. When you're in the booth recording, don't wear jewelry. And I wear like soft clothing, no jeans, nothing that's going to jingle or shuffle and try not to move too much. The most of what I do, I think, is just sort of swivel in my chair or but I don't shuffle a whole lot because you have to remember that the microphone is not just going to pick up your voice and your voice alone. It's going to pick up everything that's going on in your room. So that includes your computer fan, that includes your earrings jingling or your bracelet, your necklace, the jeans as you're shifting your legs, you're crossing your legs or whatever you're doing. The microphone's going to pick up everything. So that's just something else you learn just by doing. Mary says, my goodness, I see that my kitty has been chatting you up. Happy morning. So your cat is dancing across the keyboard. That is the cutest thing I think I've ever heard. I love that. Thanks, TT Farmer. Dylan, Sister Mary. That is so funny. Caesar says to Tycon Delar, I can tell you right away that the NT1 Signature is an excellent microphone and can stay with you for a very, very long time. One of the best choices out there for VO. Well, there you go. You heard it from our resident tech guru, gear guru. Gregory says, I love my sound closet. Being surrounded by my thick sweatshirts and blankets is like a warm hug. Oh, yeah. And being an ideal recording space, as long as dogs aren't barking. Yeah. Tell me about it. Gary says, you can win the audition using your phone if you have a little talent. For me, it's all training, and I'm thankful to have found you. Thanks, Gary. Well, thank you, Gary. And I have heard of some people that have, like, if you're out and about and you're in a pinch and you need to submit an audition right away, I have also heard of some people using their phone, but with a caveat that you would need to include in the message that this is just like a representation of my performance ability, right? This is not going to be, the sound quality is not going to be the final result. This is not what it's going to sound like audio quality wise. That's what I would do. Stephen Byrne says to Mufasa, sure, SM7B, probably somewhat better. And there we go. We got some microphone knowledgeable peoples. Brian says, VO is hard. Without community and my wonderful mentor, I would have given up, even though I know I have the talent. You do have the talent, Brian. It's just a matter of putting all the things together, right? You know what? Let's check the poll again really quick and make note of where I left off, even though I'll probably lose it anyway. But first, I have to turn off the comment, right? Where did it go? Oh, dear God. There's so many more comments that just weren't there a minute ago. Oh, my gosh. Hold on. Oh, my gosh. So many comments just came up. I'm totally going to lose my place when I get back there. Anyway, so today's poll is, in your opinion, what is the most important when first getting started? in voiceover. If you're just joining, this is what we're talking about today. Now, again, the options in the poll, a few of them are sort of like chicken egg. It's a catch-22. You can't really do one without the other. So which do you get first? So 9% of you said microphone, which actually is surprising to me, being that me and a few other people in the chat, we bought the microphone first, not knowing anything about anything, right? So microphone first, although in retrospect, treating your room space is probably the first thing to focus on. But 9% of you said microphone. 54% of you said treating your room or space. And then 34% of you said training. And then 3% of you, I think it was 3% before too, for demos. So yeah, I think knowing what I know now, I would say treating your room or space is the most important. But also having a microphone available to spot check or to see how your treatment progress is going to also be necessary. And then once you have your sound, for the most part, dialed in, then you can move on to the training and then lastly, the demos, right? I mean, there's a lot of other things that are in there, but as far as the options that are available in the poll, that's probably what I would do. I would do the microphone and treating your space, and then training, and then demos. That way you get the best result in your demos, right? The training and all the other stuff. Yeah. Oh, we have another super chat. Hold on. I'm a-coming. I need to scroll down to the bottom here. Stephen, thank you so much for that. Thank you for the super chat. You guys rock. I'm just glad that you guys are here and participating and giving your opinions and your sharing your knowledge and your experience with other people. I'm happy just for that, but to have a super chat on top of that, thank you so much. I really appreciate that, you guys. Thank you. Thank you. Now I have to go back and find out where I left off. I wish Streamyard would give you the option to like flag where you left off in your comments. This is just silly. Okay. So, oh my gosh, you guys keep commenting. I have lost my space. Okay. So we left off here. I found it. All right. So now we move on to Bears VOA. I will have to second what Caesar said in the beginning. It can be overwhelming. I am starting to really sink my teeth into this. And wow, just wow. Angela is our angel. Oh, stop it. And our platinum group is a lifesaver. I'm glad you find it useful. I'm glad you find it helpful. I think everyone in our group is just amazing. I think, and then having the Discord, right? We didn't have the Discord. How long have we had the Discord now? Maybe a year or two? But that addition was absolutely mind-blowing. That way you guys can connect above and beyond just the Thursday meetings, right? I love the platinum group. You guys are amazing. I don't know about Angel. Make me blush. Foster says, thanks, Stephen. Yeah, to Gregory, same with the clothing lining my closet. Works pretty well for now. I mean, if you use it. You have a closet full of clothes. Don't move the clothes out. Keep the clothes in there. Chat with Lorna says, at lack of knowledge, I was focused on microphone. Same. Doing research on microphone. Had done some VO professionally, so didn't understand home setup. You helped so much training guidance. Oh, thank you. I can't take complete credit for that because everybody in the chat is also giving some great advice and information too. But I did the same. Microphone first, because I think it was just that itch. I was like, I gotta get a microphone so I feel official. Glenn York says, late to the show again. I hope you brought donuts. If you're late, you bring donuts. Bears says, and yay, no pants. Caesar said so. Christina says to Gregory, auditions are due May 1st. And what she's referring to is that in our platinum group, we're working on a audio drama. Everybody has their own part. Chris is going to add soundscape and sound effects and the whole nine. And we're doing auditions for certain parts right now. So if you're in my platinum group and you would like to participate in the audio drama, then please get your auditions in. They're due tomorrow. Caesar says to TT Farmer, you can make it work with the SM7B for now and move up to a condenser mic once you have your room treatment and noise control dialed in. Condensers are generally better suited for VO. Unboxer of Worlds says, first time I'm catching the live. Always valuable information and good company on long car rides. Aw. Well, I'd much rather you're listening to me on a car ride or just, just the audio than staring at me as somebody said they watched me on a 70-inch TV. Oh my God. That just makes my inner introvert just squeal and want to run away. But I'm so glad that you're here and so glad that you're listening and so glad that it's helpful. Kimberly says, new kid question. In testing my setup, when noise floor is acceptable, ACX requirements, peak and RMS are too quiet, and V, volume, I'm not sure what that means. Don't know enough to know where my issue is. Resources I should consult? I would say just by going off of what you're saying, obviously getting together with someone who can understand frequencies and has maybe an audio engineer or someone who is very well versed in this sort of audio quality, building EQs and racks and things would be good to consult. But just based on what you're saying here, it sounds that your input gain might be a little bit too low, right? Because if you think about it, your peak is you cannot exceed this volume level, and your RMS is sort of like the average volume of dialogue, right? So if those are both too low, then that tells me your input gain is very low, or you're not normalizing to -3 dB as your last step. There could be a couple of different things, but just based on what you're saying, that's what it sounds like. But joining a community would definitely help you get that all sorted out. For sure. Chat with Lorna says, your channel is such a great resource for newbies, training research community to know how to get set up. You helped me so much. Now I am traveling in Spain. Audio space is challenging. Traveling in Spain. I love Spain. Probably heard me say that a million times too. Would like to retire there. I lived in Valencia for about a year and visited Barcelona and a few other places. Ibiza. Yes, I went to Ibiza. I would love to retire in Spain. I love Spain. What part are you in, Lorna? Leslie says, the room treatment was close to overwhelming. I was so happy to find your videos in community. Having feedback is invaluable. Yes, feedback as you go, right? So you can tweak as you go with constant feedback from people. It's definitely helpful, not only for audio quality, but for performance tips as well. TT Farmer says, okay, good to know. Thank you. Yes, I had my old space checked, but since I moved, it needs another ear again. Yes. Anytime you change anything, it's going to change the sound. You change the mic, the interface, anything in your room, it's likely to change your sound for sure. Jamie Rod says, hi, everyone. Hi, Jamie. I'd say that for someone new to VO, mic would be the first they'll focus on. But as many have said, it's a combination. For sound, it's room and mic and DAW training too. Yes, because if you don't know, well, I guess in the beginning, all you really need to know as far as your DAW goes is how to record and how to stop, how to delete, maybe how to copy. Not a whole lot you need to know when you're just spot checking, but definitely learning and understanding your DAW is going to help you in the long run. Faux show. Joe Pace says, love the time together. We need it. We absolutely need it. Agreed. Chris says, you can get a Sennheiser USB for only $129, close to $100 and better quality. I didn't know Sennheiser had a USB mic. Interesting. Look at Chris coming through clutch with the knowledge. Brian says, developing your ear is huge and is annoying. You fix something and then you think, or at least I thought or thunk, I sound professional, finally. And then you realize you have an echo or a muddy sound. Yeah, I mean, I think that's normal. I think that we all go through that because as we're developing the ear to hear these things, you just hear something else that annoys you, and then you're just constantly tweaking and changing. And yeah, been there. Caesar says to Kimberly, a good first step is to find a YouTube channel that does both voiceover and uses your DAW of choice, i.e., Booth Junkie uses Reaper, Jay Myers and Mike Russell use Adobe Audition. Gregory says to Gary Micheloni, I love my USB mic. I have a Sennheiser mic, but no interface yet. Brian says, I don't like Sennheiser. It's hard to spell. It's hard to spell, but I love my Sennheiser. This is a Sennheiser. Laura says, but then I also just realized that I don't have a mic or a treated space, but I have been in this community and been doing research for a good 6 months. Dope! Facepalm in self-realization. It sounds like you're stuck in the procrastinating stage and you just realized it. Am I right? It's not a bad thing. Recognizing that you're in that stage is the first step to overcoming it. So don't facepalm yourself. Congratulations on recognizing it. Now you can move forward. Caesar says to Brian, ear training takes a long time. I'd hazard saying it's something you continuously develop. Well, if it's training, I guess it is something that you're just developing, right? Am I misunderstanding what you're saying? Caesar says to Dylan, so glad you got wood. Please share photos. Dylan says, I'll gladly show you photos of my wood, Caesar. Brian says to Caesar, I'm starting to feel like I'm a 12-year-old wanting to be a 20-year-old. I can't wait to leave this house. Mason Construction says, I shied away from choosing room treatment because it can take so long and might allow folks to procrastinate about getting started. It's true. Very true. Anyone new can get started today by reading aloud with emotion and give it 50% more emotion, right? Because people can't see you when you're narrating. They can't rely on body language to hear the emotion that you're expressing or, whatever it is that you're doing. So giving it 50% more emotion will definitely help that emotion to come through. And also remember to fix your face. Smile. Bear says, speaking of training, I have a background in music and drama, but I'm still talking to someone about more training. It can only help. Absolutely. Absolutely. The more help, the better. Caesar says, I bought VO gear so I could do VO and buy more VO gear. Is that a good enough why? My next level is developing a full analog signal path, just because. That does not surprise me, Caesar. Gregory says to Caesar, I made that embarrassing discovery of earlier auditions. Reverb was all over them, and baby blanket over your head does nothing. Caesar says to Brian, I know, right? Or like a Jedi apprentice who can't wait to achieve the rank of master. Dwight says, I found myself nodding to your picture when you asked about hearing the motorcycle. Of course, I was thinking you could see me. Now stop that. Did you guys actually hear it? Did you hear the motorcycle? Because I feel like every other time I've said that, you guys are like, I didn't hear anything. I'm like, well, I guess that's good, but I know it comes through when I'm recording like audiobooks or something. Motorcycle guy goes by. Brian says, I'm realizing that I had been training myself for years before I started. I was doing public readings as a teacher for years and doing accents every time I'd listen to a movie with a strong accent. And I really envy you people who can like mimic an accent. Just you hear it. You just have like the ear for it. You hear it and then you can like immediately mimic it. So jealous of you. Speaking of ear training, I wish I could unhear mouth noise. Once you hear mouth noise, you can't unhear mouth noise. Relatable. Caesar says to Gregory, my first few recordings were done in an open living room. Same. And in a bedroom. Back then, I thought they sounded amazing. Years later, I wiped them off the internet in embarrassment. Same. Caesar says, Brian, to Brian, same. Sibilants too. I never noticed these things. Same. Susan Wilkinson says, I just recently upgraded to Rode NT1 5th gen, and I'm loving it after a few tech hiccups, but doing great. Well, that's good. And I think sooner or later, the tech gremlins are going to come a knocking. They just do. They just do. But how you handle it and overcome it and get through it and over it and around it is what's important. Keep moving forward. Brian says to Caesar, like a kid wearing parents' clothes, thinking they're an adult. Caesar says to Mufasa, the Shure MV7 is a well-balanced dynamic microphone, and you can get started with one if that's what you have. Generally speaking, if you'd want a condenser mic in lieu of a dynamic, but by nature, condenser mics are sensitive, making them ideal for picking up the nuances of a VO performance and mouth noise, and therefore require room treatment ahead of acquisition and setup. My cup of tea says, I got stuck in the research phase, but this year I am changing that. Yes. Love it. Love it. Do it. Brian says, I started with the Blue Yeti. I have trauma from trying to get my sound right with it. For me, it didn't matter what mic it was. I was still playing with, because I thought it was the mic, and then it was the room, then it was the mic, and then it was my DAW, and then it was the room. And it's just like a constant struggle, right? Getting it dialed in. Masonry Construction says Samson U2U is both a USB and XLR mic. Can be bought new for about $60. You don't need an audio interface yet. You can get really decent sound. Add an interface later, upgrade later, practice now. Voiceover Van Deen says, afternoon all. Amrock and Room EQ Wizard, REW, are both free resources which you can use to start experimenting and or educating yourself regarding acoustics. There you go. Look at Voiceover Van Deen coming in clutch with his knowledge. Are you having a cup of tea and a biscuit, sir? I'm living vicariously through you. Good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. Brian says, my cup of tea, fail big, but you'll fail forward. Good job, Brian. I love it. Penitent Passer says, did you find the people on LibriVox provided good performance feedback? That's a great question. I think I did. It was very vague and I don't want to say curt, but it was short. Like they didn't give me detailed feedback. They would just say, yep, that works. Kind of a thing. Since it's a nonprofit, I think the people are just volunteering to work there and do the things. So I wouldn't expect a whole lot of detailed feedback from places where you volunteer. But I guess it would depend on who's reviewing and whose job that is to review them, that they may or may not. But from what I recall, I don't recall getting very good feedback. It was just like, yeah, this works or it doesn't. Caesar says, agree on the Samson Q2U. Decent starter. Best used with a mic stand, though. The body is quite resonant when handled. Look at Caesar. Voiceover Van Deen says, even making a recording using a mobile phone whilst popping a balloon in your planned recording space exposes a lot. There's even Fee App Store software like Clap Reverb, which goes into it deeper. Yeah, because you can stand in your room without even recording and just make a noise like clap and see if you hear an echo. Or you can record yourself doing these things, just to see how the resulting audio sounds. Or apparently there's software like Clap Reverb. Or just pop a balloon, but, you don't want to blow your eardrums out if you're in a small little space. Steven says, thank you for your wonderful information. I'm glad you could be here. Brian says, I want to start recording on ACX, but I'm too lazy about it. Well, you know what's going to fix that? Just get out there and record something, right? You have to not be lazy. There's no other way around it. You can't be lazy. I mean, if this is something you want to do, then you should be exhilarated to do it. I think for most people, it's fear. It's fear holding you back, right? So I would say, ask yourself, Brian, is it laziness or is it fear? Because if it's fear, you can recognize it, address it, and then decide to move past it, move forward, right? My cup of tea says to Brian, yes, sir. Dylan says, I kind of did all of these at once. I did most of those at once, I think. I decided I wanted to do this, so I binged your back catalog and put in a massive Amazon order with PVC, moving blankets, LED lights, Rode NT1A, and Scarlett Solo. That's awesome. I can't tell if you're blaming me for all the stuff you bought. Like, man, I just dropped all this money because of you. Or if I helped to make your decisions. Sorry, introvert, I can't help it. Gregory says yes. Yes. Dylan, what were you saying yes about the motorcycle? Did you guys hear the motorcycle? Dylan says, I dove in head first, and thankfully your teaching has stopped me from hitting the bottom head first. Oh, that's great. I'm so glad, you guys. Brian says, by the way, your hair looks nice. You practicing for the wedding? Nope. I just washed it. It's got a natural wave to it. But thank you. No, I don't know how I haven't decided on how I wanted it for the wedding yet. I haven't decided yet. But thank you for the compliment. Joy says, hello, everyone from sunny, mild Southfield, Michigan. I treated my closet space first, although I will admit I knew more. You wish you knew more about mics? Well, Joy, we have Caesar in our group, right? You've met Caesar. So you just ask Caesar. Ask Caesar. But the research I did had the snowball ice as a good one. Okay? I'm seeing a lot of like new stuff in the chat, so I'm sorry it's distracting. I do see also a super chat, so let's go there really quick. You guys are amazing. Oh my God, there's so many comments. Thank you so much, Lorna, for the super sticker. I appreciate you. It doesn't show the sticker on StreamYard, but I can see it on YouTube. Thank you so much for that. You guys are amazing. You guys are so sweet. Thank you so much. Yes, I'm trying to find where it left off. Thank you so much, Lorna. I appreciate you. Chris says, join the Platinum group today. You making this like a commercial? Join the Platinum group today, and you can still audition as long as you get it in by tomorrow. Oh, and I'm scoring the whole thing too, aka writing the cinematic orchestral music. Wow. So you're scoring, not like you're giving number scores. You're like scoring it like music score. That is so cool, Chris. I'm so just blown away by what you're doing with this audio drama. Caesar says to Dylan, same, except I'm claustrophobic. So I built sound panels, 2 doors, bought 2 noise control curtains, and turned my spare room into a studio. Cost more, but worth it. And your studio looks really nice too. If you ever get live directed, they're going to be like, man, this guy's not messing around. Bear says to Kimberly, I had a similar issue, and it was my gain level, like Angela said. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking it might be. I'm thinking just, again, by what you said, it might be the gain might be too low. Lorna says, I am part-time working in schools for cultural exchange program in Galicia. Am I saying? I'm going to put my glasses on. Right on the Portugal-Spanish border, 1 hour from the coast and the mountains. And that's a pretty area too, because I used to build like animal exhibits for this construction company back in the day. We did a lot of traveling. We built a zoos and aquariums all over the world. And so that's why I was in Spain. I was building one there. But I also helped to build one in Lisbon in Portugal. So I've seen all of that area. And that area you're talking about is really super pretty. I just love that area. But probably the coast more. The beach cities. Gregory said to Chris, my recovery meds got me a little lost. Guide me to the audition as I wrap myself in a blanket. I would say, Gregory, head over to Discord, to our Platinum group Discord, and there is a audio drama thread. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, has all the information you need. Caesar says, for the curious among you, Chris is referring to the Sennheiser Profile USB mic. Excellent mic. Relatively flat frequency response. Works for many voice types. And that is so funny. I've never heard of Sennheiser having a USB mic. That is so cool. Bear says, as a former procrastinator, Laura pulled that trigger. I'll echo that. Dylan says, uh-oh, Caesar, we got the disappointed mom look. Yeah, you got the eyebrow. Joy says, woohoo, it's good to know that I'm not the only USB person here. I wouldn't think that you would be, Joy. I think a lot of people start that way. Brian says, if your gain isn't right, it's like exposure on a camera. If your gain is too high, it's like too much light and will clip. If gain is too low, you can't see anything. The numbers you are looking for. Bears says, Caesar, Dylan, put your wood away. Caesar, just kicking that dead horse, aren't we? All right. Caesar says to Joy, I believe Anna Brisbane of Brizzy Voices started with a blue snowball. So you can get a career going with that, with what you've got. Glenn York says, I finally submitted my first batch of auditions on ACX. Well, good for you. Good job. Also added them as samples, just like you suggested. Thank you so much for the information and motivation. Absolutely. If there's anything that I can do, I'm hoping that it's at the very least a little bit of information that maybe you didn't know before, or somebody else here in the chats gave you a little bit of information that perhaps you didn't know before. At the very least, entertain you with my neuroses. I'm hoping it's helpful. Caesar says to Bears, I would if I could. Would you? Okay. Caesar. Masonry Construction says, for me, it's not the motorcycle guy going by, but my giant dogs who hate motorcycles barking their displeasure. Yeah, I bet. Zimzada music says, mouth noises are the worst. You hear it constantly. I know. Once somebody makes you aware of them and then you hear them for the first time, you cannot unhear them. You hear them everywhere. It's horrible. Brian says to Caesar and Chris, what are the numbers for gain? Hitting around negative 15 dB consistently. That's usually what I shoot for. Somewhere between, I'm trying to visualize, somewhere between negative 12 and negative 18-ish. And then you normalize to negative 3 is the very last step. It should land you somewhere between negative 6 and negative 3 as a final volume. Bear says, okay. Zimzana Music says, I'm one chapter away from completing my first audiobook on ACX platform. It's been a journey. And there's so much that you learn in doing that first book. So much that you learn. It takes probably the longest amount of time because you don't really start to streamline your process and build your effects rack and, get your room completely treated the way you're happy with it and all of the things. So there's so much that happens during the course of that first book, but I'm happy for you. Keep us posted on the progress. Excuse me. Mufoster says, thank you, Angela, in chat. Lunch break is up for me. Really considering Platinum Group. It sounds fun. I think you should. And I hate plugging my own stuff, but because I'm not like a salesperson, but I know it helps. But if you go to my website, voiceoverangela.com, go to the VO workshop tab and click it. And then, or if you hover over it, you'll get the option to select plans and pricing. And then Platinum membership is the very first option. It's $20 a month. And we meet every Thursday. Plus you get all the scripts, you get all the planners and the ebooks that I have available to you, the challenges, the blogs, and then of course the group Discord, which is worth that membership fee in and of itself. So food for thought. Robert says, I have a Shure MV7X dynamic mic. Say I need a condenser mic. I'm sure Caesar will be summoned with that comment. Boo Foster says, and thanks, Caesar. Started with the Focusrite Scarlett condenser. I think it's working fine, but just mouth and room noise are my obstacles. Caesar says to Brian, negative 18 dB consistent with occasional peaks at 12 dB and infrequent peaks at no more than negative 6 dB. That is ideal, but if you're having noise floor challenges, you can dial down and clip gain. Look at Caesar. Joy says to Caesar, yes, and I did. And so did Anthony Pica. Test Stalker says, I work off a Neumann TLM 104. Room treatment is critical. Followed closely by training for mouth noise, sibilants, and plosives. Dracula. Okay, so I'm just going to keep calling it Dracula then. But yes, I'd like to have a Neumann U87 is what I'd like to have. Chris says, depends on your mic and setup. I recommend recording around -40 to -35 dB and building the sound with compression. I also recommend normalizing your tracks with compression, not normalization settings. You get a cleaner sound and better results. Look at you guys. You guys should start like teaming up and like doing booth audits for people. Brian says to Caesar, thanks. I couldn't sleep at night because of that and getting the EQ and compression. And Chris says, gotta go. Sync class starting. Sync how to add music to commercials and videos and visuals. See you on Discord. Bye, Chris. Thanks for stopping by and for providing everybody with some great information. Bear says to Dylan, I did the exact same thing. I bought it all at once. I knew I wanted this before I started. I digress. I was afraid and someone pushed me. You know who you are. Wink, wink. Joy says, sorry about that, Angela. I introduced my Blue Snowball Ice some time ago, but it's the famous USB mic Anthony Pica started out with because he had the snowball, the Blue Snowball, right? Isn't that what Anthony had? I think that's what he had first. Those who listened to his videos might have heard him mentioned it. Yeah, I think you're right. I think he did. Laura says to Bears, hold me to it. I will get a mic and record something this week. I may be team replay next week, but I will report back. Thank you. Caesar says, my first mics were USB. Samson G-Track, Samson CO3U, Samson G-Track Pro. Quite frankly, I could have made a career with any of them, but I got roped into the elitist XLR is best mantra. So I ditched them right quick and moved into the XLR environment, which came with their own unique challenges. Listening back to some of my more decent USB mic recordings, they weren't as bad as I thought. Ben says, hey, I made it to the stream again. Howdy, y'all. Hope your week is going great. So far, so good. So far, so good. I hope yours is as well. Caesar says to Robert, you can still work with an MV7. It's a balanced mic and can help with rejecting room noise. A condenser is the next sensible upgrade path, but consider room treatment ahead of upgrading. Great stuff today, Caesar. Brian says to Laura, you go, girl. Post the recording in Facebook or Discord. Let us know that it's you saying you do it and you did it. Big wins come from small things at first. Absolutely. Dylan says booth audits are a great idea for Caesar and Chris. I know a guy that's going to need one soon. It's me. I'm the guy. Dwight says, I've been honored by having both Chris and Caesar do my booth audit and also helped build my effects rack. They are an amazing team. Love them both. Genuine and generous to a fault. I know. I think I hopped into that Discord that day that you guys were working on it. They are a really good team. Masonry Construction says, Caesar, you are not allowed to miss again. Well, you see, Caesar was turned into a lobster. So, and in the hospital, so, you know, he's got a hall pass. He's got a hall pass. I mean, you know, he was very sick for a while, so he had a hall pass. But I agree. Caesar, from now forward, henceforth, no more missing live streams, period. But anyway, hang on. Caesar just made another comment. Caesar says, to quote Monty Python, I am no longer infected. All right, you guys, I am going to head off and get my day started. I appreciate you guys being here with me today and everyone else that came into the chat. Thank you for participating. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and expertise and your opinions on things. All of that makes these live chats and this community so important. And I really appreciate it. And I know that everybody else watching does too, Team Replay. And again, if you are a team replay, if there's something that you would like us to talk about as a group or just hear more information about, like a topic for a future community chat, then please leave it in the comments below. I may consider it for a future live stream chat. But until next week, same bat time, same bat channel. I will see everybody then. So everybody have a great day. And yeah, I guess I'll see you then. Bye. Thank you for listening to She Lancer Mom Entrepreneur with VoiceOver Angela. That's me. For more information about me, visit my website, voiceoverangela.com, or hop on over to my YouTube channel, VoiceOver Angela. Again, thanks for listening. Have a great day.